What was the question again exactly?
The question, how did it change you to come here?
Oh, and so an appreciation for differences. Like I said, understanding things like what it's like to be in a country that had 2 wars in it in 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's very eye-opening. And it gives you an appreciation for what is necessary to survive, something like that. And we don't really understand that. Little things that it took me a long time, again, probably because I was 16, was kind of a shy guy, didn't have a lot of girlfriends at 16 before I came to France. I had met one person, I stayed with her the whole year. And so ending that was difficult, although it was sort of it was going to happen. We knew it. Sort of dating in France, at least 50 years ago, was very different than dating in the United States. And it took a while for me to adjust to that. There's a lot less, it's different. I mean, we can talk about it if you want, but as I say, it's a different situation. It's much more honest, I think, in France.
In France?
In France, yeah, I think so. I found it to be. There's not as many games between people. I found people to be, in the United States, it's very common to, date someone and then they're also dating other people. And then at some point in time, I see you're surprised. And then at some point in time, you say, okay, well here we're going to be, exclusive. Now in France, probably after the second or third date, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be, the understanding is, okay, we're exclusive.
Yeah.
And so and that's how it is until it ends or doesn't end. So it's sort of nicer. There weren't a lot of games to play, I didn't think. So that was different. And I found it different anyway. So.
Yeah, I really didn't know it was like this in the US. Oh.
Yeah, in the United States, for example, like in high school, there's a certain point, like, okay, well, I'm going to give you like a promise ring or something like that. And that means like we're together. Now we're exclusive. Now you shouldn't date anyone else. I won't date anyone else. We're together. There's nothing like that in France. It's sort of like pretty understandable that, after a certain amount of time and after a certain, this happens, that happens, and now, we're together.
Yeah.
And so, and I also thought, again, this may be more because it was 50 years ago. I felt more involved in her family earlier on than I was in the United States. It just was different. I was expected to participate, at least in her family's activities, almost like Remy was in your, and where, I don't know what town you live in. I want to say it fast, but in whatever town you live in. So, that I think was different. So that took a little while to adjust to.
That's very interesting, actually.
Okay.
Wow. But there's so many things, while talking to you, there's so many things that comes to my mind that I have no idea about, but that I just get conscious of it, while talking. It's very interesting.
Always talk anytime you want to talk.
That's so amazing.
Little thing, like the funniest thing in France, I thought was there was this, after a certain amount of time after dating someone, a very, very important thing, which I didn't understand, was you have to come up with a nickname, like a surnom. Very important, and actually Marie-Hélène said to me like one day, do you still love me? And I said, well, of course. And well, you don't have a name for me, and I said, well, what do you want me to say? And so we went through all, like I said, well, you could be like a lapin. And she goes, no, I can't be a lapin because Isabelle is a lapin and you can't have 2 lapins. So no, I can't be a lapin. And so then we went through the animals, and I was hoping for Porky Peak, but she didn't like Porky Peak. So we settled on Biche.
Oh,
so
yeah.
On Biche. And so that was very important to do that. So I never undid that. We don't do that in the United States at all. So
really? That's so common here.
You might say honey or babe, but it's not like you got to pick a name. It's not like this is the name.
Yeah.
And so the funniest thing was the 2 girls I dated So I said finally, like, what's my name? What are you going to call me? And they both picked the same name, like independently, like 5 years apart. And I was sort of offended by it because I said, you could have said like Lou or Leon. They both said Nunos.
Yeah.
So, and I said, like, what's a new? This is a Nunos. And they said, they sort of like, jouet, peluche.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, that's not very, very masculine name. So
It's very common.
That's what it was. So
Yeah.
But so that's very different. No, we don't do that in the United States. So
Wow.
it was a very important thing to do each time for both of them. It was sort of like, what are you going to call me? So it was like, okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of still is, but it's like,
again, this was 50 years ago, so it might be different. So
yeah, actually it is important, but like it's almost natural to at some point, like I don't call Remy anymore. Like I call him a bunch of different names, cute ones and all, and
I know your mother calls you Goose.
Yeah.
I've seen it. So that's normal. So that was another choice. The names in French are also very odd. They're very strange.
Very odd, yeah.
Because I remember going to, when we had talked about biche, I said, okay, that's good. And then I went, when we went to see her grandfather, the story I was telling you before, well, it was the first time I met them, and her grandmother, like, saw her, like, hadn't seen her for a while, and she said, and Marie-Hélène introduced me to her, and she said, I don't remember the whole thing, but something like, oh, you need to, take care of her, you need to be very nice to her because she's my crotte de bique. So, and I said, like, and I said, okay, bique, say like book. So, okay, so, and then I had no idea what. And so I asked the father, I said, qu'est-ce que c'est crotte? He goes like, the boule de merde. And so I said, that's like so then for a while I told her I was going to call her crotte de bique, but that didn't go over well, so we stayed with bique. So,
yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So that's not a typical nickname we would use probably, so. But for her grandmother, I guess it was okay.
Wow, that's so interesting.